Hi, I'm Ryan O'Dowd of the Black Hand Communique, and fuck you. Today's little mini episode is about pop artists who give on an air of pretension, of an avant-gardism, but then in their actual music, they're just another sellout corporate shill piece of shit, like all the other pop artists are. Now, my particular focus in this episode is going to be Lady Gaga because I think she does the best job of exposing this new corporate co-opting facade of real art and turning it into a bunch of bullshit that basically runs through the meat wringer and feeds the hamburgers to all the little smiling kids out there who don't know what the fuck they're eating, but they think it's rebellious and they think it's interesting when it actually isn't. And here's what I have to say. Now, Gaga, as a visual concept, does an amazing job. I'm not gonna argue with her there. I mean, the woman wears a fucking dress made out of meat. Sometimes she's done that. And that's like Salvador Dali surrealism, crazy shit to do. The problem is her music itself does not back up the image that she presents. So she's got this dress made out of meat that she wears, or this giant golden cubic fucking conic triangle coming out of the sky wrapped in pearls while she wears the sunglasses that go upside down and all this shit. But then when you listen to her music, it's just the same tired synth pop bullshit that has been dominating records and dominating the charts for the last 30 years since someone figured out that you could use a synthesizer to write all the instruments and you didn't need anyone to actually play anything. Okay? So she plays just the same tired shit, but then she wears this really interesting thing. And I think that's total shit. And it really gets down to the superfluous and superficial culture that we live in, right? Because the image is right. I'm not arguing with the image. The image is right. The marketing is right. The sales is right. But the product ain't backing it up, man. And that's because it's just another concoction. It's a way to co-opt these kind of interesting urbanite sophisticates who come up with these very out there and avant-garde ideas and then take them into the machine and then feed back the same tired shit that they coming out again and again and again, but do it in this avant-garde package so that people that are into experimental music, which has had an explosion in the last 10 years, think, oh, she may be interesting. But no, she's not interesting. She's not at all. She doesn't even design her costumes in the first place. She's just another puppet like everybody else. She just happens to be wearing the avant-garde meat fucking dress while she does it, okay? And here's the problem. I would actually like to hear an artist that wears a dress made out of meat. Like, I want to hear the actual music that the artist that would come up with that would make. Like, if you're wearing a dress made out of meat, you should be like taking the sound of a canary's like shrill tweet and then flipping it backwards and repeating it 50 times, dropping it down an octave, putting Gregorian chant on top of it, riding a bicycle with card clicking, click, 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 and making that the percussion track, and then just screaming at a child and recording it, and that's your song because you're wearing a fucking suit made out of meat. That's the kind of music you ought to be making. That's the kind of music. It should be totally out there if you're wearing a suit made out of meat, but it's not, and that shows the inauthenticity of the Hollywood corporate music machine. They just can't back up the goods. You either get the image or you get the real deal from people at the bottom in the indie scene, or even the lower than the indie scene, just a completely unaffiliated scene, but they don't have the expenses, or they don't have the pockets to completely fulfill their vision and make it as radical and wacky and interesting as they can, so they can make this cool music, but they just don't have the ability to make the whole production. When people have the money to make the production, they make the production and the visuals, but they don't have any fucking shit to back it up. It's outrageous. So, of course, you know, what are the other weak ones? You know, Rihanna and Justin Bieber, you know, Nicki Minaj. These are all the people that are supposedly stirring controversy. Miley fucking Cyrus. Listen, Miley Cyrus is just an idiot. I don't have any problems with her morality. I get arguments with people about this because I'm stupid and I engage in these things. I don't have any problem with this woman's morality. She wants to be naked in her videos and, rub her ass over some guy's dick. I don't really care about that at all. I think people should I would love that to happen more often. I'd love for someone to do that to me. That would be excellent. My main contention is the fact that she doesn't come up with any of it. She doesn't write her own songs. The songs that she sings are stupid anyway, regardless of the fact she doesn't write them. And she's just so clearly a corporate zombie. She's just so clearly an empty-headed idiot, just doing whatever the people around her, just handlers, you know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't just let her walk around because she'd get hit by a car. Like you couldn't just let her go to the grocery store and pick up whatever she wanted because all she would buy is like candy. She'd buy like $300 worth of candy because she's just too stupid to know how to actually do anything. And she just seems to be on top of the world. She's not. The real shame here is she's not just the music scene. The music scene is always full of vacuous idiots taking advantage of corporate money holders. But the problem is she's on like the cover of Vogue and shit like that. Like stuff that's used to matter, supposed to matter. Like she's like a fashion star supposedly, but she doesn't come up with the fashion. She doesn't write the music. There's nothing about it that is her invention, and it's just causing this idiotic controversy over the wrong things. It shouldn't be controversial that a 20-year-old woman wants to act sexual with guys. That's not controversy. That's what fucking happens. It shouldn't be controversy that a teenager or an early 20s person is doing drugs. It should be controversy if they don't do that. That's weird. It's completely normal for someone that's 21 years old to be getting drunk and having sex. That's what people do when they're 21 years old. So it's not that, it's some weird conservative, me looking down or slut-shaming her or whatever. And it's not that it's some odd progressive, like, oh, but you could be doing so much better, but you're such a young woman. No, it's just that she's an idiot and she's an empty-headed shill that I don't like. And people give her money. Give me money. Give me your fucking money. I'm not an empty-headed shill. I'm a full-headed wannabe shill. You can make me a shill as long as my head stays full and you give me the money to keep my head full. I don't care. But you give it to her instead. It's bullshit. And then you got people that, the same thing with Rihanna, who's just hypersexual, people say. Well, who gives a shit? She comes from a bad place, all right? If she's making a lot of goddamn money to be able to sell something that she has intrinsically within her body and in her mind, which is her sexuality, and she wants to do that, I have absolutely no problem with that. I'm going to move on from her. I've not even heard her music, so I can't comment on her besides the fact I don't have anything against her doing what she does. Nicki Minaj, she's a nice weirdo. I think she's a great weirdo. I think she's just a really excellent weirdo. Like she, the full body suit, the spandex from head to toe with just a dick on the outside of it. That's amazing. I love that. That's artistry. I actually came up with it, but I'm not going to put complete denial on it because I don't know her well enough to know. I'm not as knowledgeable about her as I am about Gaga. But I'll say this: it's the same rule that applies to Gaga. You're not backing up the goods. You're giving me shitty modern hip hop R&B bullshit, corporate fucking manifesting the same old goddamn scene that's always been there for fucking 20 years. And you're giving me an amazing package for it. You're giving me a full body spandex suit and a dick on the outside of it. If you're giving me that kind of insanity, I want you to give me that kind of insanity with your music too, man. Come on, Nicki, you're letting me down. If you're giving me a dick on the outside and a full body suit with like a horizontal, like a diagonal bleach blonde, like flat top parallelogram, if you're gonna do that sort of thing, then what I want from you is I want you to go down to the lake near your house. There's gotta be a park somewhere where you live. I want you to record the geese honking, all right? Then I want you to put it up 3 octaves and I want you to run it through a distortion pedal. No, 4 different distortion pedals, right? And then I want you to clip it and turn it into a bass drum by dropping the volume on it. Then I want you to take a hammer, throw it through a window, and make that the guitar chord, okay? And then I want you to stomp your feet, wiggle your head around like that. And then I want you to sing, and I want you to turn the song backwards, and I just want you to read, passages out of Revelations from the Bible and parts of Yertle the Turtle and Dr. Seuss, and that's going to be the music, like the lyrics on top of it. And then if you do that, then you're meeting me halfway. You're giving me the music that matches the image of the full body suit with the parallelogram with the dick. But if you're just gonna give me the dick and you're not gonna put it in, metaphorically, then I'm disappointed and I don't like that at all. Make the music match the image, people. It's the image that's compelling and interesting, and you're giving me this fucking shitty ass music. Ugh. It's a waste. It's a waste. It's a waste of visual artistry. And there's Bieber, and Bieber is the male version of Miley for all intents and purposes. He's a little child that they exploit, and he doesn't have any real talent, and he's an idiot. He probably couldn't take care of himself in any form or fashion whatsoever, and he's not doing anything interesting, and anything that he is doing is something someone else is telling him to do, and that's how it is. And I think that he would do really well from pulling a Jim Morrison, you know, like if he just went in the middle of the desert and ate a bunch of mescaline, and then fucking just wandered off and no one knew where he was for like a year and a half, and they find him in the middle of the Amazon, you know, and they're like, oh, and they find him by accident, like there's some anthropologists that go into this place, and they just notice that Justin Bieber's there, and they think it's the wildest thing, and he's getting along just fine, you know, because he got his brain scrambled, and he made it work. And they take him, and they pick him out, and they bring him back, and they put him in a mental institution, and they put him on lithium and Seroquel, and for like 5 years, he's slowly reconstructing his ego again, and then he gets out, and then he creates an album that's just gongs and whistles. Then I might be interested. But until then, he's just another idiot. And I think he's comparable to Miley in that way, except that, you know, he's the male and she's the female. And really, they ought to have just a retarded baby together. The media would love that, wouldn't they? If they just had a baby and it was retarded. Excuse me, since I'm talking about actually handicapped people, I shouldn't use that word. And they have a Down syndrome child. I think the media would eat that up. That's my suggestion to you two. And if you do it, you got to pay me for it. Anyway, to sum up the entire thesis, the entire point of this conversation, make it reach its apotheosis, I will say this. If you're going to give me a strong visual statement, back that shit up. If you're going to sing a sad song, the music should sound sad as well, and you should look sad. It should be a complete package. That's what being a visual and musical artist is about, is making it all work together. If you're going to give me an avant-garde fucking dress made out of meat, then you make that music. You make it. You make the music match the dress made out of meat. Or else I will not buy your album, and I will not recommend your album. So for now, this is a double middle finger, scratch, sent in the direction of the pop, idol, bullshit corporate shill scene, particularly Lady Gaga, Rihanna, Miley, Justin Bieber, and of course Nicki Minaj. And Nicki Minaj, I'll tell you this, I might give you a pass if you come over to my house with that dick suit. But please make your music better. Make it match the quality of that dildo, which is just formed so well on the front of that full body suit that you've got. Make your music have the definition of your parallelogram haircut. And let it have the creativity, the outrage, and the innovation of wearing a slim, good body style, full body spandex sock with a dick on the front of it. Or else you get nothing. This is Ryan O'Dowd of the Black Hand Communique saying words.